Hello folks, welcome. This is Fat Guy Flies RC. We're going to be going over the new radio rates or radio rates and CG setup for the all-new Arrows P-51D 850mm Warbird. All right, now first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to pull your wires through and how to hook up your ailerons and your lights to the control board that's already there for you. Now, if you look, you see you had those little wires coming up that had two of them that had the black and the red. You see them right there? All right. The way you hook them up, you got four of them. I'm going to go ahead and undo this one. Okay. You're going to have four of these coming out of the front of the vector. Okay. It doesn't, none of them are labeled. Two of them are for your ailerons. Two of them are for your lights. Okay. It doesn't matter which one you grab, they all work. Okay, all work correctly. Grab, notice you got the black there. So against my finger, see the black side. And then on here, you've got the dark colored wire. You're going to line up dark to dark. You'll think, well, that's only got two wires. That's okay, it'll work. You'll slide that in there, and then it's going to look like that when you're done. The black is going to line up with the dark brown or the black over here. Remember, dark to dark, light to light. So all you're doing is you're hooking up your negative wire, which is kind of dark right here. I know, I'm sorry. Let me get this a little bit closer. Maybe you can see it a little bit. If you look there, see the black. It's kind of hard to see. The black will line up with the black. Remember, dark to dark, light to light. If you remember that principle, you won't have any problem. Do all four that way. You'll have all four. And then on the aileron one, it's very obvious. Yellow is going to line up with the yellow. Okay, light to light, dark to dark. It's always the way it goes. Okay. Then you got these four wires coming out of the back of the vector system. They are all labeled. Okay. The first one's throttle, and on a spec, I'm using AR620 antenna receiver because you don't need do not put a gyroed receiver, an AR631 or any of them other ones. Just use a regular non-gyroed receiver, like this one here. The AR620 is perfect, or a Lemon RX 7-channel plain Jane receiver. They're like 18, 20 bucks. This one's 50. It just depends. They both work with Spectrum. You're going to plug your throttle into channel 1. Also says date on there. You probably can't see it. Aileron is your next one. Then your elevator. And then your rudder. And then what would be channel 5? You'll still have an open port. Would be channel 5 is going, you're going to put one that says S-bus mode. Okay? All right. And then we'll go from there. I've already got it bound up. Let me go ahead and plug it in, but I haven't gone any further than that, and I've named the model.
Receiver fast booted.
Yes, we know this. Okay? Everything's flashing right now. It's not happy with me. But right now, let me back you up for just a minute. We're going to pause for just a moment. Okay. All right. Now we're going to anchor in our receiver. Okay? I haven't even hooked up the elevator or anything. All I've done in the transmitter is named, I've bound it and I've named it. Haven't set up a throttle cut or anything. We're going to bind. We're going to put the receiver in there. Yeah, I know the prop's on. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get on. Once it's on, it's staying on. So I want to make sure before I go any further, I'm going to show you how to set up a throttle cut. And we're going to do that because I'm going to have the prop on. I know you shouldn't do that in the shop, but just the way this model is, it's the way it's going to be. Okay. I'm going to take it. And I'm going to mount my receiver. I'll show you what I'm doing when I'm done here. Okay. I'm just going to mount it against that sidewall there. Okay. And we'll take all them wires, just kind of tuck them. You know what? I'm going to do it the other way around. Put the wires behind it. I'll show you in just a second what I'm doing. I want you to see this, see the process that I go through for yourself. Okay. with them, all them wires up and out of the way. I want them out of the way. How deep is that? Okay. All right. All right. Now, see where I put that receiver? It is away from all these connections, and when I pull that battery tray back to take my battery in and out, it shouldn't cause me any issues. Let me get this wire up and over that. All right. See where I got it? All right. Now, first things first, let's go to our radio, okay, and we're going to put in a throttle cut. That's the first thing we need. I should have already done it, but I wanted to show you how to do this stuff, okay? All right. If you don't know how to do it, you need to know. And this is a beginner model, so model adjust, throttle cut. Okay, I like using my H. So it's in the position now to record. I'm going to hit my H back here, and it automatically knows that that's H. Okay, so we go back, back, back. Okay.
Timer stop.
All right.
Timer start.
See?
Timer start.
My throttle's not working.
Timer start. Timer
Now
stop.
it is. All right, now the next thing I got to do is get to that timer. I don't want to hear that timer start and stop every time, every 53, every half a second. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and we'll show you how to turn that off. Okay, go down here to timer alerts. Okay, voice, none. Voice, none. Now, see where it says timer reset? Okay, leave that alone and leave that on voice, and that way she'll tell you to timer reset. Okay, so looky here. Okay, go back here, see? Hopefully.
Timer reset.
There we go, back to 5 minutes. All right, got our throttle cut. All right, now we know the throttle cut's on. Go to model setup. We're going to get that safe taken care of. We're going to pick a switch, channel assign, proceed. Okay, yes, it knows this thing. Now, we had the A switch, okay? I want to put my gyro control up here. So I'm going to change A switch to B. Okay? Change it to B. That way it's controlled up here.
Holds 1.
Yes, because it lost connection. Don't worry about that. Now, all my gyro functions are now up here. Let's look at the model for just a moment. So pause. All right. Now, we've signed. This controls my different functions. All right. Now, if you look inside the model, you remember. Now, let me get you over. Hold on. Let me get you closer. Remember before, that light was bleeping. All right. Flash like that means the gyro. That's the safe mode. That is stability mode. Okay? Watch the ailerons. See how the ailerons are holding their position? What would that do? That would level the model. Okay? When I take it out of that, okay, and I go down a switch, now it's just slower beep, right? All right. That slower beep, that's just intermittent. That means manual mode. In other words, no gyro help at all. And then this last one, where there's just a steady, it's just on the light is steady. That's the same thing as wind mitigation. In other words, it's just auto-correcting, not auto-leveling, but auto-correcting against outside forces. So when Wind pushes the wing up this way. It pushes the aileron to level the wing. But you're saying, well, wait a minute, your elevator's not working. Right, because we haven't hooked it up yet. And we know that everything is centered, so let's hook it up. All right. This is nice and straight. Okay, so I don't have to worry about, that's nice and straight. You're going to take a little Z-bend here. You're going to put it in the outermost hole. Okay, slide it over. And it should rest right up against that ball link. And sure enough, it looks like it's just absolutely perfect centered already. So I'm going to press that on there. Might have to use a pair of pliers. All right, and that's on there. Make sure it's on there good. And now, elevator works. The other thing I need to make sure is are all my control surfaces going the right direction. Okay. Okay. Actually, let's move this stand to where we can get you can see everything. All right. If I go right aileron, that aileron should go up. It doesn't. That would make the plane, if I want to go right, and instead it's going to go left. All right. If I pull up on the elevator, or let's put down stick or up elevator, that's correct. Okay. And if I want the plane to roll that way on a rudder, that's opposite. So we know our elevator is traveling correctly. The other two are not going correctly. So let's switch that. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Model Adjust, okay, Servo Setup, okay, and you're already in the reverse function. We know our elevator is correct, right? But we know that the aileron is not. Click aileron and click rudder. Now look, right aileron, it goes up. Up elevator, which is already right, and the rudder is correct. Okay, now we know all of our control surfaces are correct. Okay, that's going right. So we're happy with that. Really nothing else to put in there. Now, if that elevator, okay, actually it looks like it might be maybe going down just a touch. So let me show you how to adjust that. I'm going to take, actually that's the, okay, I would adjust it there. Okay. But actually, I guess that does look pretty good, doesn't it? Doesn't that look nice and level to you? I know you can't answer me, but that rudder looks like it's fairly level. But if it wasn't, to instead of unhooking all that, you could just undo. There's that bolt in there with a 1.5 millimeter hex drive. Loosen that up and then move the control surfaces until they're nice and straight, and then anchor that back down. That's all you'd have to do without having to really do anything. That'd be a lot the easier way to do it. Okay, so now that we know all of our control surfaces are going the right way, we know that everything is bench trim. And remember what I've said many times. This is bench trim. Everything's nice and linear. Everything looks squared off and is straight with everything, right? Okay, that does not mean it's flight trim. This just means it's bench trim. This is your starting point, okay? This is where you're going to want to start. Just so you know, on this battery tray, I've got a 1300 milliamp with a 25C discharge pushed all the way forward on that battery tray, okay? You put that in there, it kind of clicks into place, and you don't really have to worry about sliding back because the front of your canopy is going to kind of hold that in place. Now, let's do the second most part, well, actually probably the first most important part after your throttle cut is safety, is now let's go for CG. CG on this plane is 60 to 70 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing, if I remember correctly reading that earlier. Okay. Now, there also are, 60 to 7 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing. Okay. All right. Leading edge is the very front of the wing here. This is the leading edge. Now, with a Mustang, you have this protruding part here. Okay. You're going to go, you're not going to go from here. You're going to go, actually, in this case, it's going to be like the wing root. So here, 60 to 70 back. So I'll turn the model over, but they've already got CG marks for me. Very convenient. So if I got my battery placement right, if I put my fingers there, she should CG just right. So let's check it for sure. And I'm going to have to move this in just a little bit. And by the way, if you're looking for this stand, don't look. Hobby King has, for whatever reason, decided to discontinue this great product. But I was just lucky enough to snag one. All right, let me put that on my CG point. On my CG point there. Hope the wheels won't interfere with it. All right, it looks like she's going to start being a little bit tail heavy on me. So let me make sure. Let me go on from underneath here. Get right on that CG mark there. Okay, because you can kind of tell. All right. Right about there, right about there. Still going to be tail heavy, so that means that battery's got to come forward some. Stay. So, slide it out. And just so you know, yes, I talked about in the build that there was a little yellow pigtail, meaning thrust reverse. I am not setting up thrust reverse on this little plane. I would not recommend it. I really don't recommend it. This small of a plane is just too much chance of you messing something up and hitting the switch by mistake, and this small of a plane does not need it. All right. Let me see if I can't undo the strap here. See if I can't move that battery a little bit further forward. There. I will be putting an 1800 milliamp battery in there, which is a bigger battery, which I'll probably get CG, no problem there. Okay. Feel for my CG marks. I think that's going to be a little bit better, but I'll play with it back and forth and keep moving that battery a little bit further in until I get the CG right. Okay. All right. Here where she's balanced, and then see how far off I am from the marks. All right, that's about perfect right there. And that is just behind the mark over here and right on the mark over there. So that's still pretty good. And that is, okay, just equally behind the CG, right behind it. So still need to pull that battery up further. So if I put an 1800 in there, it should be perfect. So let's take a look at an 1800. Put that in there, and then we'll go on to rates. I don't like the fact you really can't take this tray out. I mean, it's really hard because I'm afraid that once you pull it out, you'd have a hard time getting it back in there. So let's switch batteries. Okay. Let me grab an 1800, which I just happen to have charged up. Okay. This is an 1800 milliamp 3S. I'm going to put it all the way forward. And that Velcro already came on that strap. Okay. Anchor that down. Right there like that. Slide that all the way forward. A little bit heavier of a battery. Longer flight time. Yes, I know. Excuse me having the prop on in the shop, but I kind of had to do that. All right, let's see what that did for it. All right, let's get back on our CG marks. It's right about there. There. That's, yeah, okay, that is right on. That's right on the CG. That is right on the CG. So, and it's not bracing against the landing gear there. That's perfect. All right, so if you're going to get a 1300 in there, which are very economical, all the way forward as far as you can get an 1800, get it at the very end of the tray and slide it in. So an 1800 is perfect in there. All right, got that done. Let's talk about rates now. Rates for the plane, the high rates for the what the book calls for elevator is 16 millimeters up or down, okay, and low rate 12 millimeters up or down. Well, what I did, and to show you what this looks like on Spectrum, for the elevator, because they start with the elevator, my high rate is 70%, and that equates pretty much to their high rate of 16 millimeters up or down. Let me move you just a little bit. Okay, so on elevator, this is high. That's 70 millimeters up or down. And just so you know, all my rates on aileron and elevator are 30% expo. All right, their low rate that they pick for elevator is 12 millimeters up or down. And on the Spectrum, that equates to 50% up or down. That's their low rate. Okay. Now, I picked 60 for a mid with 30% expo. Now, for aileron, for their high rate, they wanted 18 millimeters up or down. Okay, that equates on a Spectrum to 70. And that's what that looks like. So naturally for mid, for mid, high rate is 80. 80. Mid is 70. Okay. And low, I've got my audio backwards. High rate is 80. Mid is 70. Okay. And low rate is 60 on aileron. Now, on the elevator, on the rudder, however, I just have one rate, 100%, and I picked 60% expo because this is such a light little plane. I took her out and did a range test. She was all over the place. So I gave it a lot of expo to soften the driving. So whenever you've got a plane that just, whenever you're driving along and she just has a lot of wiggle waggle and hard to control on the ground, dial in a lot of expo and that'll even some of that out. Now I've got my audio prompts backwards here on this. Let me pause for just a moment and fix that. Okay, got that all fixed. I had my rates were backwards on this for aileron, not the audio prompt was right. So my low rates, that's my low rates,
High rates.
that's my high rates, okay? And then I got 100% on the rudder no matter what. All right. High rates, aileron.
Low rates.
Low rates, aileron.
High rates.
High rates, elevator.
Low rates.
Low rates, elevator. Okay? And then rudder is 100% no matter what. All right, now, talk about the three levels. I assigned what would normally be the channel, which would be normally channel A. I went in my transmitter and I changed that. I plugged it into the 5th channel on the receiver, okay, the S bus, where we put the S bus in, which would normally be your gear, and I assign it to my B switch, which is right here. This is where I like putting all my gyro rates.
Direct stability mode.
My mode farthest away from me is stability mode, which is the same thing as self-level or safe in the Spectrum world, okay? If you look at the ailerons, see how they're starting to, let me go to high rates real quick.
High rates.
See how they're starting to hold their position? What would that do? That would level the plane. Look at that elevator. See how it's holding its position? That would level the plane. Now, if I go to my middle mode, direct mode, there's no kind of correction. That's just you flying the plane. No kind of wind gyro, no stability, no nothing. Now, and then this mode closest to me, which is what I usually fly in,
dynamic mode,
is their dynamic mode, which is the same thing as AS3X or wind mitigation. Okay, just wind gyro. It just helps a small, light little plane like this fly like a bigger, heavier plane where the wind doesn't affect it as badly. And see, if you look at the gyro, the elevator, it kicks up, but it returns to its position. Watch the ailerons. See, and the way you can test your gyro is put your hand on the control surface and turn. In other words, if I would turn the plane this way, in other words, the plane is getting pushed this way by the wind, then the control surface should push back, or it's turn against the movement. So if it's been pushed this way, then it should push against my hand, and it does. So if the control, if it was being pushed up, then the elevator would kick up, pushing the tail back down. So it should push against my hand, and it does. Same thing with the aileron. Okay? If you know, that's how you tell if your gyro correction is correct, by pushing against the movement. Okay? That's how you know. Now, unfortunately, in the vector system, you cannot control how much correction you have. This is a simple gyro meant for a beginner. Now, if you go into Spectrum and all that, you can adjust your gains and all that kind of stuff on a Spectrum gyro receiver. But this is simple. This is a simple plane meant to get you in and kind of a starter into gyros and using them, especially on a light plane like this. All right. Again, we are trying to show you the CG before. CG is 60 to 70 millimeters back. If you look, it's from the root. You go back, and it's right there. You can actually, it's actually marked on there. I've got an 1800. I can feel those marks, and CG's pretty good. Maybe slightly nose heavy. Put your 1800 at the very beginning of that tray. Anchor it down, and you're good to go. If you use the 1300 milliamp battery, which they do recommend, the 1300 milliamp, fine and dandy, but that's such a small little battery. I would go with at least an 1800. That's just me. But you can get those little 1300 very cheap. 1800 milliamps are cheap too. It doesn't give you, it says recommended 1300 milliamp. I would go with an 1800. I'm not sure if I could get a 2200 in here. That might fit, but it's probably going to be awfully piggish. But, all right. We've covered CG. Okay. We covered how you hook up your receiver. Everything's labeled. We covered how you hook your wings, how those servo leads go together. We covered, oh yes, real quick, let's go ahead and show you this. The prop, the ESC was calibrated, but real quick, let me just go ahead and show you how to do that so you know how to do it. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to unplug, make sure, okay.
Motor is on, be careful.
Okay, the motor would work, right? Prop cuts, throttle cut is off, okay? All right, I'm going to put full throttle. I'm going to plug this in. I'm going to wait for here 2 straight beeps and then pull it down.
Receiver fast booted.
Those 2 all the way down. All right. And I've got immediate thrust response. Okay. Now, what I did is I by putting that throttle at full throttle, plugging the battery in, the ESC realized, okay, you're already at full throttle and you just activated us. Oh, programming mode. So it goes into programming mode. It records that upper position. That upper position. You hit those two beeps, it records that upper position, you hear those two beeps, then you pull down, and it records the lowest position. That way it knows the full range of that throttle now. That's why you do that. It was already calibrated, but you should always do it anyways. All right. Also, that little yellow wire on the build, I thought that must be thrust reverse. That has been deactivated in the ESC. They do not allow you to activate thrust reversing in this plane. You don't need it anyways. You wouldn't want it in such a small model. And, excuse me. So it's deactivated in the ESC. You would have to get the programming guide for that ESC. You'd have to get separately and then listen to a series of beeps and go through a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo in order to activate that. And you may run into you don't need it. Just put it out of your head. It's not covered in the manual anyways. Just put it out of your head. All right? You don't need it with this small of a plane. Now, okay, we covered CG. We've covered rates. We've covered the ESC, how to calibrate it. We've talked about the safe functions. We've talked about throttle cut. I showed you how to do a throttle cut. And yeah, I think the only thing left now is to fly it. Now, I will be giving this beautiful plane, I'm not going to put all them decals on. I know I probably should, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to. That's where I don't have patience with things. Bigger decals, yes. Little bitty ones, I don't have the patience for. But I want to show you a product I'm going to use. Okay? I'm going to be giving this plane a clear coat of this product here. Polyacrylic clear gloss. Okay? I'll take the battery hatch off because all of this is plastic and already shiny. I'll make sure I don't get anything in electronics. And all I do is I take this out the garage and I'll give this whole plane a nice solid, just a once over coat with this spray can. I won't use any of this at all. And let that dry on there, and that's going to give this plane, it's going to really make this beautiful silver skin really shine. And I love those bright lights. I tell you, Arrows, you have done a great job with this little Mustang. I hope it flies as good as it looks, and I hope it flies as well as it went together, because this is just an absolute dream to put together. And it looks great. I love this four-bladed prop. I love the ease of how you put everything together. This is a great thing you've done here, Arrows. And all right, well, folks, thank you so much for watching. This is Fat Guy Flies RC Hobby Zone again. Thank you for putting your trust in me and sending me out this plane before it's even released, so I can get it together and show these folks how to put this beautiful little craft together. And yeah, thank you, folks. Thank you, Hobby Zone, for being my sponsor. Folks, I can't wait to get this out the field and get a little flight demonstration. And those wheels are not super, super small, and they've got some clearance. So maybe really short grass, possibly. But I'm thinking definitely the runway for sure. But that is a good looking plane. It's the lollipop. So lollipop on the side. Got a gal there. Yeah, just a good looking plane. All right, folks. Well, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless y'all. God is good. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends, and then Mustangs from Arrows, all new. Bye-bye.